I know how it sounds. Buying a spell off the dark web feels like something a teenager would do for a dare, or some creepy pasta you'd scroll past at 3 a.m. But I wasn't joking. I wasn't playing around. I bought it because I had nothing left to lose. Everything in my life had collapsed in slow motion, like a building crumbling floor by floor. And then one night, drunk and angry, I started browsing deep forums, looking for something. Anything that felt real. That's when I found it. A listing buried in a forgotten corner of the internet. Custom spell work, real results, guaranteed. The price was insane. The requirements were worse. But I didn't hesitate. I clicked buy, and I wished to God I hadn't. The site didn't look like anything special. Just a black background, red text, and a single encrypted chat window. No product images, no reviews, just a username, Nix Obscura, and a description that felt more like a warning than a pitch. It said the spell would work, but only if the buyer was ready to accept the consequences. I thought it was just edgy marketing. I messaged them, half expecting a scammer. Instead, they replied instantly. No small talk, just a list of what they needed. My full name, date of birth, a handwritten statement of intent, and 1 drop of blood. Digital or physical? I asked. They replied, both. That should have been the red flag, but instead I wired the $666 in crypto, packaged the items exactly as instructed, and sent them to an address that didn't exist on any map. 2 days later, the chat window disappeared, and 5 days after that, the spell arrived. The package came in an unmarked black envelope. No return address, no postage. Just my name written in shaky silver ink. Inside, everything was wrapped in old parchment that smelled like burnt herbs and rust. There was a small glass vial filled with fine black powder, cold to the touch. A folded piece of paper held a handwritten incantation in a script that looked ancient, like something etched into stone centuries ago. Underneath, scrawled in English, were the instructions. Burn the powder at midnight. Speak the words aloud. Make a circle of salt. Do not step outside it. Only perform under a waning moon. I read it over and over, trying to decide if it was some elaborate prank, but deep down, I could feel it. The air around it felt wrong, heavier, stiller, like the moment before a storm breaks. Against every instinct I had left, I started preparing for the ritual. Midnight came, and the house felt unnaturally quiet. No traffic outside, no wind. Even the hum of electricity seemed to disappear. I turned off every light, drew the curtains, and poured a ring of salt on the floor of my bedroom, just like the instructions said. I placed the black powder in a small metal dish at the center and lit it. The moment the flame touched it, the powder sparked violently, flaring an unnatural blue and releasing a smell like burning bone. I stepped back, heart racing, and began reading the incantation aloud. The words stuck in my throat, heavy, unfamiliar but powerful. The shadows on the walls stretched and twisted. The flame didn't flicker. It stood perfectly still, like it was watching me. And then, from somewhere deep inside the walls, 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Not from outside, not from upstairs, from inside the house. That's when I knew. I hadn't just lit a fire. I'd opened a door. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the middle of the salt circle until dawn, gripping the lighter like it was a weapon. When the sun finally rose, nothing seemed out of place. No marks, no sounds, no more knocking. I tried to convince myself it was all in my head. But then my phone rang. It was a mutual friend, someone I hadn't heard from in months. She was panicked, crying, saying something had happened. The man who ruined my life, my ex-boss, the one who framed me and got me fired, had been found dead in a motel room. His eyes were gone, as if burned out from the inside. The police had no leads, no fingerprints, no signs of a break-in, just scorch marks around his body, and strange symbols melted into the walls. I hadn't even asked for revenge. I never mentioned a name, but the spell had chosen a target anyway, and it wasn't finished. The next few days blurred together. I kept hearing things, soft footsteps when I was alone, whispers just beyond the edge of understanding. Every night at exactly 3:33 a.m., there would be knocking again, 3 times, always from a different part of the house. Sometimes the lights would flicker, other times my phone would glitch and freeze on strange images I never took. I started finding symbols scratched into the walls, same as the ones from the motel crime scene. I cleaned them, repainted, but they came back by morning. Even the mirrors weren't safe. When I walked past them, I'd catch glimpses of someone else moving just out of sync with me. Same face, but smiling. Not my smile. I realized this spell, wasn't just punishing someone for me. It had attached itself. It was learning me, watching, waiting for something. One night, I sat down at my computer to try and find any clues, anything that could help me undo this nightmare. But when I opened the spell instructions again, the words weren't the same. They shifted before my eyes, rearranging into new messages, threats, warnings. One phrase stood out, "You are marked." Panic set in as I tried to delete the files, burn the parchment, even erase my browser history. Nothing worked. My computer began acting on its own, typing strange phrases in the search bar, opening new tabs filled with dark symbols. Then, through my speakers, I heard a voice whisper, chilling and cold. "You called me. I came." It was no longer just a spell. It was alive, and it was inside me. Everything spiraled out of control. Darkness crept into every corner of my life. At night, shadows stretched unnaturally, crawling along walls and ceilings like living things. Mirrors cracked without cause, reflecting twisted versions of myself with hollow eyes and sinister grins. The knocking grew louder and more urgent, shaking the walls until the floor trembled beneath me. I tried every method to break free, salt circles, prayers, even calling a priest, but nothing stopped it. Every attempt to undo the ritual only made the presence stronger, feeding off my fear and desperation. Now, when I look at my reflection, I don't see just me anymore. I see something waiting, watching, smiling, and it's patient. If you've made it this far, maybe you're wondering what happened to me, or maybe you're tempted to try the same thing. But I'm begging you, don't. The spell I bought on the dark web wasn't just some gimmick or harmless magic. It's a living force, something that feeds on fear and weakness, twisting reality around you until you don't recognize yourself anymore. It's patient. It waits in the quiet moments, in the dark reflections, behind your eyes when you think you're alone. This thing doesn't just ruin your life. It steals pieces of your soul, leaving a hollow shell behind, and once you call it forth, it's not coming back. There is no undo button, no reset, just endless darkness waiting to swallow you whole. So if you're thinking about stepping into that world, think again. Because some bargains aren't worth making, and some doors are meant to stay closed. As I speak these final words, the walls around me feel closer, almost breathing. The knocking is relentless now, pounding like a heartbeat just beyond the plaster, echoing through every room. When I catch my reflection in the mirror, it's no longer mine. It smiles, a slow, cruel grin that I don't recognize but can't look away from. My devices glitch and flicker, and from the static, I hear faint whispers calling my name, promises of freedom mixed with threats I don't want to understand. I've tried everything to stop this, every ritual, every prayer, but the circle I once drew is broken, and the thing I summoned is no longer bound. If you're watching this, know this. It's not just my nightmare anymore. It's yours too, if you choose to follow in my footsteps. Some doors are meant to remain closed. Some bargains are best left unmade. Because once you break the circle, they come for you. Please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon for new video.